Welcome to a sacred quest, the pilgrimage of venerated Enlightened Master Xuanzang, Vegetarian, Part 1 of 3.
但这次前往并不是为了供养，而是因为我悲伤于本国的法义尚未完善，经教有些缺失，心中充满疑惑，无法找到解答，因此我决心前往西方，请教未曾听闻的道理，希望能让这甘露不仅洒在迦毗罗卫城，释迦牟尼佛的故乡，也能让东国的人都能沾染到。节录自大慈恩寺三藏法师传。
Buddhism originated in India around the 5th century BC. Its philosophy was developed from the teachings of the worshipped Shakyamuni Gautama Buddha, vegan, the awakened one. The venerated Buddhist master Xuanzang, vegetarian, was a legendary Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, and traveler, best known for his epic pilgrimage to India in search of authentic Buddhist scriptures. Undertaking a perilous 17-year journey across Central Asia, the Silk Road, and the Indian subcontinent, Xuanzang visited sacred Buddhist sites, studied under eminent Indian masters, and collected invaluable texts. Upon his return to China, he translated many of these texts into Chinese, significantly shaping Buddhist philosophy and practice in East Asia. His travelogue, Great Tang Records of the Western Regions, would become an important source of scholarship regarding 7th century Central Asia and India. Master Xuanzang, originally named Chen Hui, was born in 602 AD, Sui Dynasty, near the beginning of the Tang Dynasty, in present-day Yanshi, Henan Province, China. He came from a long line of scholars. His great-grandfather was a prefect, and his grandfather worked in the capital as a professor at the Imperial College. His father, Chen Hui, was a conservative Confucianist who served as Jiangling County's magistrate during the Sui Dynasty. The youngest of 4 children, Xuanzang studied classical Confucianism with his father and was noted for his brilliant mind and filial piety. When Xuanzang's father passed away in 611, he became interested in Buddhism, influenced by his older brother, Chen Su, who later became a Buddhist monk and was given the Dharma name Changzhe, vegetarian. Xuanzang lived with his brother for 5 years at the Jingtu Monastery, where he studied Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism emphasizes personal enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of samsara, or death and rebirth, while Mahayana Buddhism, which Master Xuanzang preferred, focuses strongly on compassion. Mahayana Buddhists may choose to stay in the cycle of samsara to help others attain liberation and enlightenment. When Xuanzang was 13, he was ordained as a samanera, or novice monk. During the fall of the Sui Dynasty, Xuanzang and his brother headed to Chang'an in 618, the newly proclaimed capital of the Tang Dynasty, to escape social unrest and political turmoil. The brothers then traveled south to Chengdu, Sichuan, and stayed at Konghui Monastery for 2 to 3 years. In 622, Master Xuanzang, at the age of 20, became a fully ordained monk. As he studied Buddhist philosophy, he grew concerned with the many discrepancies and contradictions in the texts. This led to a 7-year journey across China in search of sacred Buddhist texts. Xuanzang sought out nearly all the renowned Buddhist masters of his time for guidance and clarification, but found their explanations unsatisfactory. As such, he developed the desire to go to India to seek the original Sanskrit texts and study Buddhism at its source. Xuanzang returned to Chang'an for a few years to study Sanskrit as well as other foreign languages. Master Xuanzang's arduous pilgrimage to India began in 629, following the route that would later be known as the Silk Road. At this time, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Taizong, had issued an imperial decree prohibiting foreign travel for national security purposes due to ongoing regional conflicts. Master Xuanzang's resolve to go to the land of the Buddha was strengthened by an inner vision in which he ascended Mount Sumeru, the sacred home of the gods. In the autumn of 627, a poor harvest led authorities to permit Chang'an's citizens to leave the city to escape famine. Xuanzang seized this opportunity to embark on his journey westward. However, since he departed without the emperor's permission, he was considered a fugitive. Xuanzang traveled by night and hid during the day. He reached Liangzhou, or modern-day Wuwei City, Gansu Province, a major commercial and cultural center with a strong Buddhist presence. Here, Xuanzang taught Buddhism while waiting for a chance to leave. After about a month, local authorities ordered him to return to Chang'an. He convinced Buddhist guards who were stationed at the gates of Yumen to assist him in escaping the city. The youthful monk next went to Guazhou, the final military outpost on the western border of the Tang Empire. Master Xuanzang waited discreetly at an inn until, fortunately, the local official who had received a warrant for Xuanzang's arrest, being a devout Buddhist, allowed him to leave. En route, Xuanzang prayed for guidance at the Ta'ar temple near the city, where he met a merchant whom he later ordained as a Buddhist and his first disciple. Xuanzang found himself without a guide. He continued to pray to the worshipped Maitreya Buddha, vegan. The next day, the merchant returned with an elderly man who offered him a thin, old red horse person. The elderly man assured Xuanzang that the old horse individual was wise and strong. The elderly man warned him about the treacherous terrain ahead, but Xuanzang remained undeterred. Xuanzang traveled about 40 kilometers into the Mohe Yanqi Gobi Desert and reached a beacon tower operated by Chinese soldiers. With water being scarce, Xuanzang waited until nightfall to attempt collecting water from the tower's sole source. He was, however, caught by the guards. Moved by Xuanzang's mission and determination, the commander treated him with respect and kindness, providing food, water, and valuable advice. Xuanzang faced significant challenges, including extreme thirst and mirages, while crossing the vast and treacherous Mohe Yanqi Gobi Desert, as detailed in his account, Great Tang Records of the Western Regions. His dependable horse companion led him to an oasis, ultimately saving his life. After reaching Yiwu, modern Hami, in Xinjiang, Xuanzang was warmly welcomed by a Han ethnic monk at a temple. Thankful, he had successfully navigated the harsh environment of the Mohe Yanqi Gobi Desert. He followed the Tian Shan, or Celestial Mountains, westward, a vast mountain system in Central Asia known for its severe arid conditions. He also survived the perilous Taklamakan Desert, which is one of the world's biggest sandy deserts, before arriving at the oasis city of Turfan. There, Xuanzang dedicated a month to preaching Buddhist scriptures and received an invitation from His Majesty King Chu Wentai, a devout Buddhist of Gaochang Kingdom. Despite King Chu Wentai's warm hospitality and respect, the king intended to keep him as the ecclesiastical head of his court for life. In response, Xuanzang undertook a hunger strike until the king relented and allowed him to continue his pilgrimage. It was 630 AD, and Xuanzang stayed in Turfan for another month for the sake of the Dharma. The king of Gaochang provided Xuanzang with indispensable letters of introductions to all the rulers on his itinerary, including the Turkic Khanate, which occupied the region up to India. The king also gave 25 attendants and 30 horse people to accompany him during his travels. The venerated Enlightened Master, Xuanzang, had finally obtained official standing as a pilgrim and was no longer a fugitive. Xuanzang continued his journey westward, where he escaped robbers before arriving in the ancient Buddhist kingdom of Kucha, or present-day Kucha County in Xinjiang Province. Kucha was renowned as the birthplace of the 4th century Buddhist monk and scholar Kumara Jiva, vegetarian, who traveled to India for his studies and later translated many Sanskrit Buddhist texts into Chinese. Master Xuanzang reported,
伽蓝有100余座，僧徒超过5000人，修习小乘佛教，说一切有部的教义，经典教义和戒律规范皆遵循印度的佛教传统，学习的人直接研读原文。
We extend our gratitude to all those who have protected and preserved the ancient holy texts which continue to serve and spiritually elevate humanity today. Welcome to a sacred quest, the pilgrimage of venerated enlightened master Xuanzang, vegetarian, part 2 of 3. The venerated enlightened Buddhist master Xuanzang, vegetarian, was a legendary Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, and traveler, best known for his epic pilgrimage to India in search of authentic Buddhist scriptures. Undertaking a perilous 17-year journey across Central Asia, the Silk Road, and the Indian subcontinent, his travelogue, Great Tang Records of the Western regions, would become an important source of scholarship regarding 7th century Central Asia and India. During his mission, due to unfavorable weather conditions, Xuanzang was forced to remain in Kucha for 2 months before resuming his journey across the snow-covered Tian Shan ranges. Today, archaeologists continue to speculate about the exact route Xuanzang took through these towering mountains, many of which exceed 5,000 meters in height, making it an arduous and treacherous trek. The venerated enlightened master forged further west and then turned northwest to cross the Bidel Pass into present-day Kyrgyzstan. In springtime, Xuanzang and his companions emerged on the other side of the mountains into Central Asia. Their first stop was the Issyk-Kul Lake. In his biography, Xuanzang vividly describes the lake as a vast body of dark green water with a salty, bitter taste, surrounded by snow-capped mountains. Despite the high altitude, the lake never froze, leading locals to refer to it as the Hot Sea. Xuanzang finally encountered the Great Khagan of the Western Turkic Khaganate at Takmak, near the northwest shore of Lake Issyk-Kul. The Great Khagan of the Western Turkic Khaganate had a cordial relationship with the Tang Emperor at that time, hence Xuanzang was able to meet the formidable ruler. Following the meeting, the Khagan appointed several multilingual military officers to accompany Xuanzang on his journey. Master Xuanzang then traveled southwest to Toshkent, the capital of Uzbekistan, as well as the largest city in Central Asia. He came across more monasteries that housed the footprints and statues of the worshipped Shakyamuni Buddha, vegan. According to Master Xuanzang, during days of fasting, mystical light emerged from the Buddha's footprints. Departing from Toshkent, Xuanzang journeyed westward across the desert to Samarkand, a historic city in east-central Uzbekistan and one of the oldest cities in Central Asia. There, he encountered abandoned Buddhist monasteries. At the time, Samarkand was under the rule of the Persian Sasanian Empire, where Zoroastrianism was the official religion, leading to the neglect of Buddhist sites. Initially, the king of Samarkand was unfriendly towards Xuanzang. However, after hearing Xuanzang preach, the king's attitude changed and granted Xuanzang permission to hold an assembly in which he initiated several new monks. Master Xuanzang traveled southeast from Toshkent and passed through the Iron Gate, an important mountain pass in Central Asia located in present-day Uzbekistan. Continuing his journey, he reached Kunduz in northern Afghanistan. In Kunduz, Master Xuanzang attended the funeral rites of Prince Dardu. During his stay, he met a Buddhist monk who advised him to journey westward to Balkh. Xuanzang then journeyed westward to Balkh, a town in modern-day Afghanistan, to visit Buddhist sites and relics. The Nava Vihara Buddhist monastery was of particular interest. According to Xuanzang, Navavihara was the westernmost monastic institution worldwide. It was here that Xuanzang discovered more than 3,000 Theravada monks, including the wise and venerable Prajnakara. Xuanzang would study Theravada scriptures with Prajnakara. He also obtained the crucial Abhidharma Mahavibhasa Sastra text, an ancient Buddhist text on scholastic Buddhist philosophy that was believed to have been written around 150 AD at this site. Xuanzang would later translate the Mahavibhasa text into Chinese. Master Xuanzang, along with Prajnakara and his disciples, set off southward to Bamiyan, a town in central Afghanistan. Bamiyan means shining light. Here, Master Xuanzang saw numerous Theravada temples and encountered the two large famous Buddhas of Bamiyan in the Bamiyan Valley, approximately 130 kilometers northwest of Kabul, the modern capital of Afghanistan. These two remarkable Buddhist statues, standing 55 meters tall, were carved out of rock face and decorated with gems. They are believed to date back to around the 6th century. The monumental Buddhist statues served as a sacred site for Buddhist pilgrims on the Silk Road. Master Xuanzang revealed that the valley also housed a large statue of the reclining Buddha.
城东23里伽蓝中，有佛入涅盘卧像，长1000余尺。
The group then continued their pilgrimage eastward across the Hindu Kush Mountains into Kapisi, the capital city of the Kingdom of Kapisa, with more than 100 temples and 6,000 primarily Mahayana monks. Kapisi was part of the ancient Indo-Aryan civilization Gandhara and was located in present-day Afghanistan, about 60 kilometers north of Kabul. In Kapisi, Master Xuanzang participated in a religious debate and displayed his brilliant knowledge of Buddhist schools. From Kapisi, Master Xuanzang made his way to Jalalabad city on the present-day southern bank of the Kabul River, Afghanistan. In Jalalabad, Xuanzang paid his respects to the renowned bone relic of the worshipped Shakyamuni Buddha vegan there. He also ventured into the nearby mountains to visit the cave of the Buddha's shadow, where he sought to witness the image of the Buddha inside. The concept of Buddha's emanation or shadow is highlighted in medieval Chinese Buddhist texts. Near Nagadahara, modern Jalalabad, the cave was believed to contain the Buddha's shadow on its wall, which was said to appear to devoted pilgrims on special occasions. This site is first mentioned in Kumarajiva's translation of the Treatise on the Great Perfection of Wisdom, describing the cave of the Buddha's shadow. According to legend, after praying 200 times, Xuanzang briefly saw the image of Lord Buddha, which disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. Undeterred, he prayed another 200 times, and the image reappeared, this time more vividly. Overcome with emotion, Xuanzang was deeply moved by the sight of the Buddha's holy image. According to his travel log, Xuanzang considered himself to have entered India in the year 630 when he arrived in Jalalabad city in Logman province in Afghanistan. From here, he began to experience the cultural and geographical features of the Indian subcontinent. He cited Buddha's land as expansive with 70 kingdoms, surrounded by sea on 3 sides and snow mountains in the north. The rich and moist land produced large amounts of vegetation. He noted that India was comprised of many villages and cities with narrow and winding streets. Those with professions involving the killing of living beings, such as butchers, fishermen, executioners, or scavengers handling products derived from slaughtered beings, were forbidden from living in the city. Children's education began at the age of 7 and focused on 5 knowledges: grammar, technical skills, including arts, mechanics, yin-yang, and the calendar, then medicine, logic, and finally, inner knowledge with the theory of karma, or cause and effect. The people of India were very respectful of spiritual faith. Master Xuanzang mentioned that residents would bathe before going to the temples to worship. He observed that there were 18 branches in Buddhism in India. Although the monks held the same goals, they would passionately debate one another on various perspectives, using their vast knowledge of different subjects. Each Buddhist school has its own unique rules and regulations for monks. Generally, monks who were unable to expound a single Buddhist text were required to perform routine duties such as cleaning the monastery. Those who could flawlessly expound one text were exempt from these duties. Monks capable of reciting 2 texts were rewarded with better quality rooms, while those proficient in 3 texts were granted attendants to serve them. The few monks who could expound 4 texts were provided with lay servants, and those who had mastered 5 texts were given an elephant companion to accompany them for travel. Monks proficient in 6 texts received a security retinue for added protection. Master Xuanzang traveled to Gandhara Kingdom and spent time in the nation's capital, Pushkalavati. Although Buddhism had been declining in that area, he was able to visit the numerous stupas and holy Buddhist sites near the capital. The Kanishka Stupa, located southeast of Peshawar, was especially significant. The stupa was constructed by the Kushan Emperor, Kanishka the Great, to store Buddhist relics. Standing at 122 meters high, it is one of the tallest structures of the ancient world. We treasure the magnificent Buddhist sculptures and relics from ancient times that remind us of the timeless teachings of the worshipped Shakyamuni Buddha. Welcome to A Sacred Quest, the pilgrimage of Venerated Enlightened Master Xuanzang, Vegetarian, Part 3 of 3. The venerated enlightened Buddhist master Xuanzang, Vegetarian, was a legendary Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, and traveler, best known for his epic pilgrimage to India in search of authentic Buddhist scriptures. As Xuanzang headed north towards the Kashmira kingdom, he arrived in the country of Udayana, in present-day Peshawar, Pakistan. The nation had 1,400 monasteries, dedicated to 5 of the 18 early branches of Buddhist schools, including Sardavastivada, Mahasamgika, Kashyapa, Mahesh Asaka, and Dharmagupta. As the school of Mahayana Buddhism flourished, the 5 early Buddhist traditions lost popularity, and the monasteries that originally supported 18,000 monks became desolate. Xuanzang mentioned that the worshipped Shakyamuni Buddha, vegan, had lived in this country in one of his previous lives. As recounted in the Jataka tales, the Buddha, through his actions and deeds, displayed compassion and strength. When Master Xuanzang arrived in Dharada Valley, Udayana's old capital, there was a 30-meter-high golden wood statue of the worshipped Maitreya Buddha, vegan. According to Xuanzang, in order to create a realistic image of the Maitreya Buddha on earth, the artist visited heaven 3 times. After leaving Udayana, Master Xuanzang wrote that he crossed a river with poisonous dragons and evil animals, before eventually arriving in Taxila, a Mahayana Buddhist center that served as a vassal state of the Kashmira kingdom. The Kashmira kingdom was home to around 5,000 Buddhist monks, 100 monasteries, and around 300,000 scriptures. In Kashmira, Xuanzang was greeted by the king as well as many Jayendra monastery monks. Master Xuanzang mentioned that numerous monks in this kingdom were deeply knowledgeable of the collection of sacred Buddhist scriptures known as Tipitaka. He stayed in Kashmir for 2 years, studying Mahayana Buddhism and the Tipitaka with these monks. According to his travel log, Xuanzang met a Brahmana who was 170 years old, but he appeared to be in his 30s, and his 2 attendants were both over 100 years old. The Brahmana master and his enlightened attendants were believed to have had absolute knowledge of all the Vedas and the Buddhist Madhyamaka Shastra. Xuanzang stayed with the Brahmana for a month. Continuing his travels, Master Xuanzang made his way through India, visiting temples and monasteries, observing the culture of each region, and studying Buddhist scriptures. Xuanzang and his companions also had to fend off robbers and endure the harsh climate and terrain of the area. As the trails that led to the Himalayas were jagged and deep, he reached the nation of Matipura after crossing the Ganges River. Master Xuanzang described the river as producing sweet and blessed water that could dissipate the sins of those who bathed in it. The people of Matipura were, according to Master Xuanzang, honest, and dedicated to learning. Half of the population were Buddhists, while the other half believed in heterodox religions. There were 10 monasteries and over 800 monks. The king of Matipura worshipped at the Deva temples. Near the Ganges River was a great Deva temple known by the locals as the Gate of the Ganges. This temple was a renowned rest area for pilgrims from all of India who would bathe, relax, and obtain free food and medical services there. Master Xuanzang dedicated time to visit all sacred sites of the Buddha. He traveled south to Sankasya, or Kapitha, an ancient Indian city believed to be where Lord Buddha descended from heaven using a golden ladder. Xuanzang also made his way to Lumbini Garden in Nepal, where Gautama Buddha was born. Then, he headed to Kushinagara in Kushinagad district, where Lord Buddha is believed to have entered Parinirvana, the state of passing for those who have attained nirvana during their lifetime. He also visited Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha was believed to have obtained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. It is said that when Xuanzang arrived at this sacred place, he laid down on the ground and wept. After visiting the Bodhi tree, monks from Nalanda Mahavihara, a celebrated Buddhist monastery in ancient and medieval Magadha, present-day Bihar, in eastern India, escorted Master Xuanzang to the monastery, 97 kilometers away. Master Xuanzang spent most of his pilgrimage in India at Nalanda Mahavihara. It was founded around 427 AD by His Majesty Kumaragupta I of the Gupta Empire. Considered by many scholars to be one of the greatest learning centers of the ancient world, it is currently a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The monastery played an invaluable role in further advancing arts and academics during the Golden Age of India, from the 5th to 6th centuries. The esteemed faculty of Nalanda were considered among the most revered Mahayana Buddhism scholars. Buddhist philosophies, including Madhyamaka, Yogacara, and Sarvastivada, were part of the curriculum. The Vedas, alchemy, astronomy, logic, medicine, mathematics, and grammar were also taught at this monastery. At Nalanda Mahavihara, Xuanzang was given the Sanskrit Dharma name Moksadeva. Here, he studied with the great Shilabhadra, vegetarian, the abbot of the monastery. Shilabhadra was a Buddhist monk and philosopher, as well as an expert on Yogacara teachings. Master Xuanzang believed he had accomplished his primary goal of this challenging pilgrimage to India when he found such a brilliant and accomplished Yogacara instructor. Under the guidance of the Venerable Shilabhadra, Xuanzang mastered Sanskrit and perfected his knowledge of Buddhist thought and philosophy. Many Buddhist texts that originated from Nalanda were instrumental in the development of the Mahayana and Vajrayana traditions of Buddhism. Master Xuanzang's reputation as a scholar grew tremendously, garnering the attention of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Harsha of North India, whom he met in 642 AD. The benevolent king, one of the last of the great Buddhist rulers, organized a grand debate on Mahayana Buddhism to display Xuanzang's knowledge and talent. Rulers from 18 vassal kingdoms, 3,000 Buddhist monks, and 2,000 Hindus and Jains attended the debate that took place as part of an 18-day religious assembly. In 643 AD, Master Xuanzang began his long pilgrimage back to China via Central Asia after receiving permission from His Imperial Majesty Emperor Taizong. His return was greatly facilitated by the great Emperor Harsha, who provided a military escort with horse people and his best elephant individuals. Emperor Harsha additionally gave Master Xuanzang thousands of gold and silver pieces for travel expenses, as well as introduction letters to rulers on the route home. Xuanzang, along with his caravan of about 20 disciples, brought with him 657 Buddhist scriptures in Sanskrit, 150 holy relics, and troves of art and literature, loaded in 520 cases. Master Xuanzang arrived in Chang'an, the Tang capital, in 645 AD, completing his 17-year journey to the west. He was welcomed by cheering crowds and granted an imperial audience. The emperor, fascinated by his travels in foreign lands, appointed Xuanzang as court advisor, Xuanzang politely declined the position and instead, with the help of the emperor, established a large translation bureau in Chang'an with a team of translators. The venerated enlightened master Xuanzang would dedicate the rest of his life to translating the Buddhist scriptures. Out of the 657 texts that he brought back, Master Xuanzang was able to translate about 75 texts in 1,330 chapters into Chinese. These texts included some of the most important Mahayana scriptures. In modern Xi'an, one can visit the giant wild goose pagoda, which was initially built to store the Buddhist scriptures. Through the request of Emperor Taizong, Master Xuanzang published a detailed collection of his travels titled Great Tang Records of the Western Regions. Master Xuanzang's pilgrimage was a monumental accomplishment. Not only did the enlightened Master Xuanzang bring original and sacred Buddhist scriptures to the East, but his travelogue provided a rare and first-hand look into the cultures, politics, religions, and diplomacy of India and the kingdoms along the Silk Road. His life, legacy, and achievements have had lasting historical significance. Journey to the West, a Ming Dynasty novel and one of the great Chinese classical literatures, was inspired by the venerated enlightened master Xuanzang and his travels. Our most beloved Supreme Master Qinghai, vegan, told us,
我已经说过，那个西游记就是一本修行的故事嘛，修行的道理了，全部都是他讲经了，像师父现在讲经一样，他用种种的榜样啊，描述那种修行的障碍和修行突破的方法，了解了哈？哎，我们越修行越了解这本书啊，不是少说而已，哎，真正的很好的道理，所以大家看呢，如果修观音法门更喜欢，更知道哈。
When Master Xuanzang passed in 664 AD, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Gaozong cancelled all audiences for 3 days. Master Xuanzang's journey remains one of the most remarkable pilgrimages in the history of Buddhism and cultural exchange. His tireless efforts over 17 years, which covered approximately 16,000 kilometers from the deserts of Central Asia to the sacred sites of India, enriched not only the Buddhist world, but also fostered understanding between cultures. His dedication, intellectual rigor, and spiritual devotion cemented his place as one of the greatest figures in Buddhist history.
Vegan leader. Cool.
Wonderful viewers, thank you for joining us today. Coming up next is Exalted Womanhood, Part 15 of 20, on Between Master and Disciples, here on Supreme Master Television. May you always shine in the brilliant light of the Buddhas.
Being vegan, having peace, heaven Godspeed. Supreme Master TV Max. Maximize your blessings at home, work, and anywhere.
All of you should try to set up your telephone. You go onto the site for suprememastertv.com/max or Folia, Pocha, Livia. Then you can set up your computer or even your handy smartphone without SIM into 40 quadrillion screens of Supreme Master Television. The dots are very, very small, but there are 40 quadrillion screens behind them. And if you have several no-SIM phones set up on that, then it's a lot. And that kind of concentrated, huge, incredible energy will bless your home, bless your environment, your village, your town, or your city. And if many people do that, we bless your country, bless the world. So we will have less disasters.
To utilize this tool free of charge, please visit suprememastertv.com/max or youtube.com/@folia999/streams.